Going to give an update here. It's been a while. I've had other projects come in the way, but this is the progress so far. What I have done is I've completely repainted the bench legs, the base, all attachments except for a few odds and ends. I have completely gone through the jointer, replaced the bearings on that, repainted the exterior. I have not repainted the motor. I've actually got that mounted to an older plate there from another ER. Let's see, I've replaced one or two bearings in the headstock. I did not replace all of them because I didn't want to go to that expense yet until I knew how much I had to use it. That may be a project for another day. What else we got going on here? I do have the other plate there with future plans to use this motor. I may end up having my father-in-law turn down this flywheel to a smaller diameter so I can potentially put a guard around it. I know it's going to be a bit unsafe to have that thing flying around there below the work. My next video I will probably be demonstrating how I will wind the return spring, because I made up a little jig for that out of some electrical wire that I used successfully the first time around. I had a couple questions online about that, so I'm going to probably take a video showing how I did that. I basically wound the loops there around the way tube here, made a flat spot in the top for the tang on the spring, and then wound the spring with my hands completely out of the way. Watched a few other videos online of people putting these devices in the vise, winding them in place, getting screwdrivers, pliers, all that kind of things, and I could not bring myself to use any of those methods without major cringes. I closed my eyes, safety glasses, everything, and I just didn't feel comfortable with that much pressure on that spring. So I made this device here to basically get my hands completely out of the way while I was working on that spring. So I'm going to post a video on that as well. But I just wanted to give an update and show the progress with a fresh coat of paint. Everything's been cleaned up. The way tubes, almost all the any of the chrome or polished metal parts, I actually soaked in evaporust, which I was extremely impressed with. Made the PVC tubes that are noted online several different places with a cap on the bottom, and then another tube on the inside of the way tube to use less of the liquid. Worked out real well. I've got some pitting on the way tubes, but I'm not going to worry about that. It actually does not have any rust on it. That looks like rust at the back there, but it could be in the pits. I'm not going to worry about grinding and polishing or any of that kind of stuff on there. I don't want to remove any material. But anyway, that is the progress right now. I just mounted the motor last night. Sounds good. I do have a couple bearing issues. I hear a noisy bearing right at the quill, especially when it's extended. But like I said, I'm probably going to save that for another day. Bearing replacement on the whole headstock. I did replace one motor bearing, which was easy to get to, but I don't really plan on using this 1/2 horsepower General Electric motor for too much longer, if I can come up with a variable speed option. Anyway, let's fire it up here. And that is the 4-step pulley for the jointer as well. I don't think it came with that belt, so I'll probably have to get the correct size belt. I want to use that. One of the things I have not gone through yet is the jointing fence. For some reason I left that in the tote. Left that in the tote of parts and did not clean that up yet. It's still pretty rusty. The joiner actually was suffering the most from rust. Everything else cleaned up pretty well, but the joiner took most of my time on this rebuild. On the legs, I actually used some body filler, some sandable primer, and that sandable primer, actually, the paint I used adhered much better to the sandable primer than it did to the spray primer from Exo Rust that I used on all the cast parts. For some reason I just did not get good adhesion. I've got some chips and some repairs and stuff like that going on. Like right there, there's a nice paint chip there. So I wasn't too impressed with that primer. It just didn't bond well. But the legs, like I said, I used Duplicolor sandable primer from Auto Body Parts Store, and I really was very impressed with the paint adhesion on that compared to the other parts. But overall, I'm real happy with the results here.